see what AI is doing. AI is putting people out of jobs. AI will take your job if you don't know how to use AI, because there's still people that use AI.
Nnanna, I will start with one question. How do you build wealth when the system is designed to hold you back?
If you think for now and now works, you're forgetting that there will be a next year. The peculiarities of next year is different from the peculiarities of now. So if you're treating business as every day as it comes, and you're not thinking 5 years, you're not thinking 10 years, you've done what worked this year, you want to replicate it next year, you'll be shocked. Policies change.
Today, he is an entrepreneur, an investment coach, and a mentor to founders across Africa, helping them navigate risk, raise capital, and build businesses that last.
The real SMEs, the small size enterprises, is bookkeeping, recording your finances, how much comes into your business and how much goes out. The beauty of being an entrepreneur is making wrong decisions and learning from it.
His journey hasn't been easy. From the hardest decisions a business leader has to make to the lessons he's learned from failure.
There's so much to blame. You can blame Tinubu, you can blame this, you can blame. There's a lot to blame, But the real people who make real change and cause real things to happen, they don't play the blame game. It's the same way people say there are no jobs. Bro, there are crazy amount of jobs, but you have to be employable.
Nnanna has built a philosophy around smart investing and bold entrepreneurship. This is Nnanna Alu.
And I hope an entrepreneur is learning from this right now is, how do I get myself to the standard of receiving funds? How do I get to the level where people want to give me money? Once you make that your headache and not looking for money, money will come. People will even give you money if you're not making money, because they know that you won't be able to pay them. How are you gonna borrow and pay? 100% of 1 million naira, dollars, whatever currency you want to use. You can't compare it to 1% of 10 billion. If people are going to give you a certain threshold of money or funding for your business, they need to be on the seat with you. I'm not going to give you 100 billion naira and then I can't make decisions.
Like when you mentor entrepreneurs in this country, what stories do they tell you? And what lessons did they tell you that, this is the thing I'm going through, or this is the lesson I learned from making this mistake? And how do you motivate them after you listen to these lessons and stories? Hello guys, do you know that 95.7% of people that visit our channel are not yet subscribed? Leaves us with only 4.3% of subscribers. That's a 0.9 increase since the last time we started creating. Please, your subscription does us a world of good. It helps us create better and invite better guests. Please like, share and subscribe to what we do here. And that's the only favor me and my team will ever ask of you. Thank you. This is Soromi from Talks About You, and it's always a story about self. And like we say on the pod, the stories we tell ourselves, they have a way of quickly becoming our reality. And today's story is one of the things that define us as a country. We have the highest number of entrepreneurs in Africa, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a story about entrepreneurship as a whole. And my guest today is no other person than Mr. Nnanna Alu himself that have done it. Thank you for coming on the pod, bro.
Pleasure to be here, my brother. Pleasure.
We like to start from the beginning of the journey of our guest. So if we had to take it back to the earliest context of you that makes you understand that entrepreneurship is what I want to do, what that's going to be?
Well, interesting question. Once again, thank you for having me here. I've seen a lot of your work and I truly, truly admire you and your team. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Keep it going. Yeah. So, story of entrepreneurship. So I'll start by saying I came from an entrepreneurial family, right? I came from a family where our daily bread came from the business my parents did. Right? So they had a 9 to 5, and then at some point, it became clear to them that this wasn't going to get them to where they want to be. So they started a pure water company. It's from selling pure water, manufacturing and selling pure water, they expanded into bottled water, right? And even till right now, our company is doing very well in river states, right, of Nigeria. I was a part of this from like childhood, watching all the struggles, the many nights they come back home and cry, the many nights they will be happy, being able to go on vacations and stuff. And inevitably, it had an effect on the way I viewed entrepreneurship. My first degree is in engineering, right? It's mechanical engineering. It didn't take me too long to notice that that's probably to do. Even though I'm grateful for the degree, but I realized at some point that this is really not where I'm going. And then I went and got my MBA from the Lagos Business School. That was the real game changer. That was where I got to see that I think business is more thing.
Yeah, and I like the way you said it. After your MBA, you've advised over, like when we were going through your profile for this, you've advised over 35 SMEs in Nigeria. No, I don't want to get to the advice you give them first. I want to stay on you since the story about yourself. How do you know your ideas are going to work?
Hmm.
Like I like asking people that question, like entrepreneurs, because it's very important. It gives a perspective of who you are talking to. How do you know your ideas are going to work and are correct?
Hmm. So I'll answer that question by giving you a quote. Not sure who has this quote, but there's a quote that says to be great, you have to study the greats, which is why some of the most brilliant minds in our time and beyond have always read books. They have always studied. It doesn't lean only to that side, but then there's the practical aspect of it. So it's now balancing the two. You study, you acquire knowledge, and then you practice it and apply it and see these theories in reality, right? So I would say I'm a mix of both. I've had a lot of businesses, started them, failed, and I'm saying it proudly. Started them, failed, went back, and then start to see a little bit of success, right? And obviously, I'm an avid reader of business and self development books. So a lot of the comments, a lot of the advice rather that I give to a lot of SMEs through my advisory company come from both aspects. The one from studying, learning, research, and then the one from, okay, I've tried this. I know someone who tried this and it worked. I know someone who I advised to do this and it worked. I've seen someone do this and it worked. And then you merge both, and then that's how you get concepts that actually.
Now, after getting the concepts that actually work, and you know, okay, this thing works, what are the things you see from new entrepreneurs in Nigeria that you know that, okay, they have gotten it wrong at that point? Because you have advised a lot of people, you speak to a lot of people, and this is for every entrepreneur that is in doubt. And I mean, I'm not coming from a place of privilege. I've been opportune to speak to successful entrepreneurs, and I've been opportune to speak to entrepreneurs on my own level or below me. I understand that many people start out wrongly.
Hmm.
So I'm asking you now, what are the wrong steps you think we take in this thing?
Two things I'll mention. Brilliant question, by the way. First thing is the most common one I tell almost every entrepreneur I talk to on the small scale. So this is like the real SMEs, the small size enterprises, is bookkeeping, recording your finances, how much comes into your business and how much goes out. Right? You spend 5,000 naira on fuel or to run your generator for a day. You spend 10,000 naira on, office equipment and all of that. You spend this amount on dispatch, and all this money is just going, 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 going. Nobody's really recording it. You'll be surprised how many small businesses don't have a record of what comes in and what goes out. It's just vibes. Somebody bought today. Tomorrow we're going to buy raw material, produce another one. So first thing I see a lot of companies do wrong that I advise is bookkeeping. They don't do, and we are privileged to be in a tech explosion era where there are so many tools at your disposal. Even outside all the tech platforms, you have Excel. Even if you don't know, you're not Excel savvy, there's pen and paper. The one that I saw my parents do growing up. So that's one. Then the second thing I'll talk about is futuristic thinking. A lot of businesses think for now. And do you know why it's dangerous to think for now? Is if you think for now and now works, you're forgetting that there will be a next year. And guess what? The peculiarities of next year is different from the peculiarities of now. So if you're treating business as every day as it comes and you're not thinking 5 years, you're not thinking 10 years, you've done what worked this year, you want to replicate it next year, you'll be shocked. Policies change, interest rates, everything. See what AI is doing. AI is putting people out of jobs. But here's what I say: AI won't take your job. Mm-mm. God bless you. AI will take your job if you don't know how to use AI, because there's still people that use AI, right? So, um, yeah, just thinking futuristic, studying trends, see what's happening in your space. Go for networking events, expos, conventions. Start to uh, think forward, because when you think forward, you plan forward, and then that gives you some form of,
Clarity.
yeah, clarity and leverage. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, speaking on that, like I like the way you ended it on clarity. A lot of entrepreneurs in this part of the world don't know what the right decision is when it comes to business. Do you think there's a right or wrong decision when you're trying to build your business
Oh, of
from the
course.
from the beginning?
Well, of course, there's right and wrong decisions. And I'll also say you can't always make right decisions. The beauty of being an entrepreneur is making wrong decisions and learning from it. Hopefully, not too critical, right? Not too critical where you fail woefully, right? And even if that's the case, bro, you pick yourself back up. Do you know how many of founder of KFC, if I'm not mistaken, he failed a lot of times, right? And so many of them like that in the history books, they failed so many times, right? So there are right and wrong decisions. But the beauty of it is what worked for this guy may not work for you. What you read in that business textbook may not work for you. So I like to use the word iterate. It's very iterative, and you just have to keep iterating, and yeah, you make right decisions, wrong decisions, and you learn. You learn from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way that decision making of the entrepreneurship piece is out of the way. You've spoken about the things you need to get right at the beginning. Now, I'd like us to speak on how do you think, why do you think we don't properly scale a business
Mm.
as entrepreneurs in this part of the
Hmm. Why we don't properly scale a business? Yeah. So I love this question because I think I've spoken about this before. I'll say this, right? There's only so much an entrepreneur can achieve from head knowledge. Now, trust me, a lot of quote unquote successful, I put quote unquote because success has dimensions to it. A lot of quote unquote successful entrepreneurs did it from head knowledge, right? But at some point, you need to scale, expand, open branches, probably leave the country, open in Kenya, open in Ghana, open in South Africa, open in Ethiopia, then go to US and then go to UK and then go to Dubai, depending on your vision for your own business. So you can't do all that with head knowledge, bro. A lot of entrepreneurs think they can, and which is why they struggle to scale. Truth is, you get to a point where learning and growth becomes a whole business of its own for you.
world? You know what I find that interesting? Because my partner has always told me that for us to be able to do this thing at the scale I want, I have to get to that place. And I was always thinking, oh no, I can do it. Head knowledge, like he said, but now I know the type of work I'm doing and I have to do. Because that growth is not even going to happen if you don't commit yourself to that work you just talked about. So that's why they don't grow. That's why the expansion don't happen.
Yeah.
But they blame it to lack of funding.
The popular saying, a workman that fights with his tools is, how did they put it? There's so much to blame. You can blame Tinubu, you can blame this, you can blame, there's a lot to blame. But the real people who make real change and make cause real things to happen,
Effects.
they don't play the blame game. They
I've
don't
not, I've
play the
not,
blame
I've
game.
not read. As you're speaking about this, the thing that comes to my mind is Empire State of Mind. I've not really read the book, but I read the summary, and he was talking about that. Like the only thing that separated him from most of his peers as a then in that book was he had to do the work, he had to grow, he had to understand the music business, and he was writing his account in Empire State of Mind. And so many people that have been able to build a music business, they will say that once they read that book, a lot of things just click. So these things are important. That's nothing to do with money. You have to do the work yourself.
Period. And I'll just make a recommendation of another book, No Excuses, Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy is a brilliant mind in the business world. He has done so much. So he wrote No Excuses, and that book really changed it for me. And as the name implies, no excuses. Get it done. Get stuff done. Don't lean on excuses. The moment you start leaning on excuses, you start creating allowance for mediocrity, not failure. In business, I don't believe in failure. I believe in mediocrity, quitting,
Settling for the bare minimum.
because failure is our food. We were just talking about it before. You will fail if you want to be great. It's only real failure when you stop trying.
So, do you think, like, now we've stuck, like, okay, we need to really grow, we need to talk banking on head knowledge, but do you think we really do have a funding problem?
No, I don't. And I love this question, and I'm going to go deep into it. Why I think we don't have a funding problem. You'll be surprised how many financial institutions are ready to give real viable businesses money. Bro, I'm telling you.
I know. I was saying, this thing, exact thing you said, I was saying it, I was somewhere on the mainland yesterday doing something differently with someone, and I said the same thing. But the problem is they're not just going to give you money because they have the money to give. You have to be proved to them that you worth putting the money on.
It's the same way people say there are no jobs. Bro, there are crazy amount of jobs, but you have to be employable. Not employable in your eyes, employable in the eyes of the employers. And it's the same
There's
thing.
a standard.
And so the question should be, this is, and I hope like an entrepreneur is learning from this right now, is how do I get myself, to the standard of receiving funds? How do I get to the level where people want to give me money? Once you make that your headache and not looking for money, money will come. So you then have to answer questions like, what level of traction do I have? And so I ran a startup called Office Ajo. We closed down, for various reasons. One of the questions we had to answer at some point was, because we approached so many funders from our network and all of that. And then they always kept coming back with the same story. Like, your traction is not good enough. Your numbers, your metrics, they are not giving for us to give you the amount of money you want. And then if you take money with bad metrics, the problem there is either debt or equity, right? If it's equity, you're going to get expensive money. So people are offering you little money for high ownership, high level of ownership. And if it's debt, nobody, people will even give you money if you're not making money, because they know that you won't be able to pay them. How are you're gonna borrow and pay? You know. So yeah, I think it all revolves around, business structure and all of that.
So now I think most entrepreneurs don't even understand equity enough. And that's one of the things that don't make them come to the standard we are talking about. For you to be given money by these people, you need to be to a certain standard. What are the things you think Nigerian entrepreneurs, founders don't understand about equity?
Yes. So about equity, very interesting. We had a little chat about this earlier. So there's this popular saying I've heard a lot of times where it's like 100% of 1 million naira, dollars, whatever currency you want to use. You can't compare it to 1% of 10 billion, right? 1% of 10 billion is like 100 million. And you're talking about 100% of 1 million. Do you see how people like trick themselves, and all of that? And we also spoke about how, if you're going to get to that global level, the Microsofts, the Amazons, the Alphabet, Google, the Dangotes, let's bring it back home.
Yeah.
Bro, you're going to have to give out ownership, right? You're not going to hoard everything, and then, because if people are going to give you a certain threshold of money or funding for your business, they need to be on the seat with you. I'm not going to give you 100 billion naira and then I can't make decisions, but that's my money. You get what I'm saying?
At end, anywhere in the world, people don't understand. I feel like they don't understand that money is at end anywhere in the world. We need to start having that conversation.
Anybody go and make 10 billion.
It's at end anywhere in the world. People be like, oh, they just want to come and give me so amount for the work I've done. Their own money too is at end. So I mean,
they didn't pick it on the ground.
So we need to understand like partnership is important. But I mean, I was speaking to John Paul like a week ago. He said something about people need to understand that like, when you give out some part of your equity, it's not the same thing as having power in the business. Like there are a lot of ways to go about this thing. And those are the things those are the conversations I like us to have. Because it just helps an entrepreneur go from doing it from the head space of things to understanding like, okay, there are real metrics to follow, there are things to put into consideration. You can actually take money from people and retain your power, like your voting power. You can take money from people and retain some certain percentage of your business. And all these things is going to work in your favor and be able to help you get to where you need to get to. So those are the things I like you to just speak up from your own.
Oh yes. So yeah, thank you. So when it comes to ownership, there's certain criterion of funding when you're giving out equity. So it's not just as simple as you own 20% of my company. There's an aspect of it that is called being vested. So let me tell you what being vested means. If somebody gives you 20% of a business and is vested across 4 years, that means that for the first year, you have 5% of that business. For the second year, you incur another 5%. Now, that model is used for maybe if you want to bring a co-founder in and you don't want the person to just come and feel too comfortable, right? You vest it, right? You also spoke about voting rights. There's voting rights, right? How much power do you have as a shareholder? Your money is in the system, but does that mean you should have the same voice as somebody who is well versed in the business? You could make decisions that will mess the whole thing up, right? So there's voting rights, there's vesting, and there's a whole lot of other things that, that's where you sit down with your, financial consultant or your strategy head, and then you actually look at it and say, and because that's very important too, because you don't just give out equity. Yes, we've spoken about how you can't get very big if you don't give out ownership. That doesn't mean you would foolishly give out, equity like that. You also need to be very careful. While I was running Office Ajo, at the point we were offered 250 million naira for 25%. And just from the simple algorithm calculation, that means the person is valuing our company at 1 billion naira. But at the time, we did our valuation and it was way more. So that's why the fact that we needed money so bad. 250 million naira would have solved a lot of problems for us. But we looked at it and said, if I give out 250 million for 25% now and the company grows big, that guy still owns 25% of your maybe $5 million company, $10 million company. He still owns 25%. So this is just to say you also need to be very careful, be very strategic, calculated on how much equity and how much ownership you give out.
I think this is just taking us away from this conversation, but I think it's putting more light to this conversation. Do you think because we are people of emotions, like if you want to sell in Nigeria, you have to sell is that based on emotion or religion? Those are the things that control our society in the business space. Do you think it affects our ability to be good entrepreneurs?
Um,
Because people just emotionally take money. It's just because you are not doing business from an emotional standpoint. That's how you're able to analyze and be like, oh, this is bad money. But it's hard for people to recognize bad money here. Why?
so that's spot on. That's spot on. First of all, I'll establish the fact that every human being is an emotional being. Whether Nigeria, outside the country, everywhere, human beings are primarily emotional
Emotion.
before logical.
Yeah.
But I believe as a true businessman, you should be able to separate logic from emotion. That is like one of the most important and essential aspects of being a successful business person, right? Because if you can't do that, emotional decisions usually are the worst. Emotional decisions. Oh, because of how you feel about this.
I know how
You
painful they,
could,
I
you
know how
could,
painful they are.
yeah, so you have to be able to separate your emotions from your logic, right? That would help you in things like all those funding and across board, really, you know.
What mindset shift do you believe African entrepreneurs must make to succeed on a global scale?
On the
Since we're talking about, yeah, what mindset shifts do you think we need to make?
business structure, man. Business structure. I wanted to say corporate governance, but that's like very high level and
A lot
it
of
gets
people
to
don't even understand it when if you put it that way.
yeah, exactly.
Most of the people we're having this conversation for might find it like we have to
Yeah, I have
break
to
it,
break it
maybe
down,
break it
of
down.
course. So corporate governance in a sense is how you run what's governance, how you run. Like the government runs the country, right? How you run run your business on a corporate level. Decision makers, executive management, directors, stakeholders, all of them together is the corporate governance, right? Who runs, who has a say in the core essential business running, right? Who has a say? How you structure that? Who are your board of directors, right? Who is your chairman of the board? Who are your executive directors? Who are your non-executive directors? Who are your independent directors? Who are your C-suite executives? All that conversation is wrapped around corporate governance, right? You can't get very big without a structure for it, right? A structure for it. So I think that is very key because with that comes a lot. If you get a board, ideally, a good board of directors consists of different people who are good, exceptional, if I may say, in across different walks of fields of life, who come together and advise. So I mean, the board, like the name implies, is like the advice, their board of advisors, board of directors. They advise the managing director and the executive directors on how to run the business. So if you're going to go global, you have to have a structure for corporate governance. You can't do it all yourself, right? In terms of the decision making, because you're one person, and you're not your consumer. You're not the customer. Every business has a customer, so you need to have a wider range of feedback coming into you, wider range of advisors for you to get global. And I think that is one thing African businesses don't pay enough attention to.
I like the way you break all these things down. That wants me to make me ask a personal question. What's the hardest decision you have had to make as an entrepreneur?
That's quite on the spot. Hardest decision I've had to make as an entrepreneur. I think that would be closing down Office Job. Yeah, I think that would be
What
closing
did you
down.
learn from that? I like the way you talk about it because I feel like the experience, that experience taught you a lot
Oh,
in
it
your
did. It
business.
was quite, when you have it's just almost like when you have a baby and you have to watch your baby die. It was quite painful, but we took it with a we took it with a pinch of salt because we're coming back. we've learnt our lessons. We've got our fingers burnt. Young and daring young, boys who just wanted to, have a job in the tech space. But we've learnt a lot, and we are coming back with a different products, if I may say. So yeah, I think getting to a point where we just said, let's pull the plug. We got a lot of analysis wrong, and for us to make something viable out of this, we'll have to go a totally different direction. And with a lot of things we had going on at the time, so my partner then, he just had a baby, and he had, his family and all of that. And I myself had a lot of other things too. So we just say, you know what, let's pause, come back, re-strategize, and then, have a go. So I think that's probably one of the toughest decisions I had to make, coming to terms with the fact that, bro, this is not working. Just gotta come back better.
What did he really teach you about entrepreneurship and building and scaling a business?
I'll tell you, I learned a very big lesson from Officer Joe. So Officer Joe taught me that, see, you know how these tech boys make you feel like you will just sit down in your house with your laptop, you will just build one app, just they post them for Instagram. For you raise $1 million. You do round 2, you
Raise $2 million.
Unless you want to be doing scam. unless it's scam you want to be doing, that's what Officer.
Sometimes, sorry for cutting. Sometimes when I see I'm a very different person. I have different approach because I like to break things down. When you tell me you're building a tech, I believe that's process at scale. So a lot of tech in this country, I don't see the process they are putting at scale. So I don't understand where the money is coming from.
Are you seeing the news? Companies are going bankrupt. Investors funds.
Tech is, when you say you have a technology, that means you are putting a process and you are putting it at scale. What did Microsoft do? They make our user experience. They put it at a scale that once you press something, it's speed of light. Process at scale is tech. Let's just put it out there for people that don't understand. So a lot of tech in Nigeria, there's no process they are scaling.
Let me just tell you something. At some point, the way me and my guys see it is it became a format. It's like, let's do health tech, edu tech, and there are people who are making real significant changes in these things. But I feel like a lot of people just saw it because there was a season, I think somewhere between 2016 to like 2022. That 6-year gap, 2016 is too early, like 2017, 2018, 2022. Bro, investors were throwing money at tech companies, especially in Africa. People were raising money left, right, center. So I feel like a lot of young guys saw the buzz. Some of them successfully went in, even with the mindset of format, and they still came out with money. And that's why you see some of them now crashing, because they got the money, they tried to now do what they claimed to do, because now you have the money, or you do what you say you want to do, and they couldn't do it. Because it wasn't convincing enough even to themselves. They didn't even know the real nitty-gritty of the problem they were trying to solve. And see, let me tell you something. You have to get your hands dirty, right? When I say get your hands dirty, go to the field, go to the market, interact with your customers. There's this sense that, tech, I go just day my house, I will just press one button, bam, 1 million people are using my app.
This thing you're saying makes me remember every time I'm having a stand-up on Monday with my partner. My partner will be like, to me, and you say, we need to validate our ideas. Don't tell me you have an idea, you are just going to take money from somebody and think, because you have an idea, it's going to work. Have you validated the idea yourself? Have you taken it to market, like you said?
Important.
Have you tested it? Have you seen what is going to bounce and what is going to stick when you throw it at people?
Survey.
We need to. But a lot of people don't do that. But you did that with your own company.
Oh, yes, we did.
Why was that process important to you? That's just where I was trying to get to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just like you've said, you have to know, because like I said earlier, you're not the one using it. You're not the one using you're not the only customer. Even if you're using it, it's only you that will use it. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs so I and my founder, at some point, we made that mistake, right? We assumed what we had in our head will be accepted by the markets. We forgot to actually hear what the market says. We did a small sample size survey, but I feel like even the sample size of the survey we did wasn't the real,
people you had in mind,
people that should be using it and all of that. So you have to validate ideas simply based off of the reason that you're not the only one that is going to use it. It's for the world. It's for the market. Maybe not everybody in the world, but for your target audience, at least hear what they have to say about it. At least hear what they have to say about it.
This is very interesting. I'd like to know your opinion from it because
Yep.
you actually ran the company for a couple of years for you to be making it for you to be valued over a billionaire at some point. That means you guys must have done a lot of work. So my question in that is, why is it difficult for we entrepreneurs in Africa to be able to switch from being a creator to the seat of the people we are creating for?
Hmm.
What do you think is responsible for that?
Hmm. So, you know, there has to be a 360 view, especially for you as the CEO, as the visionaire. You can't only view from your lenses. You have to view from as many lenses, as many stakeholders of what you're using. Yourself, your co-workers, your customers, your funders, you know. Post should I say post structuring of businesses is probably one of the reasons why business owners fail to realize that they need to view across board. You need to view as a CEO. You also need to view as a customer. You also need to view as a worker. View as your graphic designer. View as your accountant. View as your funder. View as your FFF, family, friends, and fools that gave you money earlier on.
Because you're able to all of it.
Yeah. So put yourself in as many of their shoes as you can. You know, talk to them consistently. Probably do meetings once in a while. Hear from them. So I feel a lot of people get more stuck up on the ego of, oh, I run this. Oh, he's already making some money. Oh, I'm a big boy. You know, and then you're not trying to interact with those who you should be interacting with to keep it successful.
Yeah, I like the fact that we're talking about funding and things that you need to do so when you get funded, you don't become a flop. Now it has become difficult to raise funds. Like the period you mentioned, 2017 to 2022, throwing a lot of money at us because a lot of things have gone wrong within that period of time, and maybe mainly due to our poor infrastructure from our own findings, it's now become difficult. So, what do you say to people that are now doing the work, have the ideas, validating it, that really do need this fund to bring the ideas to life?
Oh, of course. I mean, people will still give you money if you have traction. People will still give you money if you've built something scalable. People will still give you money. The issue then was I feel like there wasn't core due diligence from the investors, right? They weren't really going, and of course, you talked about the emotional thing. A lot of these founders can be very, very persuasive and emotional with storytelling. Oh, it's going to be the next Google. It's going to be the next, and all those standing ovation, pitch session, and all that. So I feel like to the guy out there who is actually solving a problem that is actually causing change in the world, bro, keep doing it and keep recording your metrics. Record your ARR, record your, monthly revenue, record your customer base, record your, all those metrics. Make sure you keep track of them. If you're making real change in no time, those numbers will rack up. And as those numbers rack up, you take it to the investor, they look at it, they're like, okay, this makes sense.
Where's the space for personal branding in all this? Because right now,
Yes.
since we're talking about getting investor, taking it, a lot of investors will tell you they don't even care about most of those things. They want to know
The person.
the person. What is at the core of you? What makes you click? What makes you think? What are you willing to do for the mission? Those are the things most of these investors look at these days.
So from an investor standpoint, I wouldn't really even say personal branding. I would say more of personal values.
Yeah. Yes.
Investors don't care that much about what you're posting on social media.
How you brand yourself.
They care more about your values. Is this guy, does he have integrity? Okay, who knows this guy? They'll do reach out. What do you think about him?
And that's funny. That's the funny thing I used to say to people. Like, you might think, like, I was in Akure and the guy said something to me, and I know it's true. He said, I don't know, maybe you know him, this Tiki guy that shot, that does his fish farm thing. He said, because he consistently show up, that's taught him that a lot of people are looking at him. Even they commenting or not commenting, people see the way you show up on a daily basis. So when they ask around before giving you money, people will definitely have something to say about you. No matter how much you think, oh, who knows me, or nobody will have anything to say. Once people start asking around, don't worry, there will be something they will tell about you. Like, okay, maybe it's credible, it's reliable. Like I said, why are these things important in your experience?
I mean, no matter who you are, people are watching, right? People are watching, and it's important because, as simple as it is, before anybody gives you any money, they want to secure themselves and make sure that my money is not going to flop. So they'll ask questions, right? So people are always watching, regardless of who you are, regardless of what you do, founder or not, people are watching you. And when rubber meets the road, and the need arises, questions will arise about you behind your back, and it then becomes a thing of value. Bro, we've seen people who have built the most magnificent personal brands. They don't have values. I don't want to call names. Some of them have been arrested. Yeah, because of the fact that there is a dissonance between what you claim to be and what you're actually doing. And all of that. So I think the focus on values, being a person of integrity, being a good person, really. You just be a good guy and do a good business. That's all.
But I mean, business is brutal, like we all know. Like, unless you've not really been in this thing for a while. If you've been an entrepreneur for a while, I mean, serious entrepreneur that are trying to
Mhm.
scale a business with small money and try to get it to the next place. You know how brutal this is.
The
And this
jungle.
brings me to my next question, because you've been there, you've done that.
Mhm.
When do you know it's time to exit or pivot in a business? That's where my question is.
Very important. Exiting, pivoting. So let me tell you something. Like right off the bat, one of the things that you're supposed to plan as you're planning your business model is your exit strategy.
The
Yes.
first time somebody said that to me was my big sister. She has a master's in law, and we are having a conversation. She told me, like, but the next time we are going to do any business, from inception, before you even start, you should have an exit strategy. Why is that important?
I remember, so I don't know if it was when we started rolling up, we talked about futuristic thinking, right?
Yeah.
You just have to think ahead. Like I said, same thing I said is like, if you're only planning for right now, when next year comes, what you're doing right now may not work for next year. So if you don't plan that exit from now and you are just vibing, when 4 5 years time comes, you're thinking what you did in 5 years ago is gonna work, bro, you'll be shocked. So why not just start to plan it ahead, though, and do and keep, you know?
If you tell people that you have an exit plan ahead, in this part of the world, they think you're a serious entrepreneur. Or the
It
conversations
depends.
are changing. Depends on who you
It
are.
depends on who you're talking to. Not everybody needs to know you have an exit strategy, right? Because exit strategy doesn't mean the business stops. Exit strategy is simply on
Make your
per transaction. Per transaction. So it's like I took ₦1 billion from you. Exit strategy is how to pay you back that billion within what time frame. That is what exit strategy means. So I feel like if you're not speaking to the right person, they think exit strategy means exiting the business. The business closes. No. Business run. One of the laws of business is it runs to perpetuity. Businesses don't close down unless you close it down. Like the idea of a business is what closes down is a project. That's the difference between a business and a project. A project is time-based, time-bound, but the business runs to perpetuity, right? So exit strategy is simply, okay, give me your 5 billion. I exit in 5 years. I exit in 3 years. I exit in 2 years. So it's always good to have that in mind, so that when money is coming in, you are planning how to exit on that money. When a deal, a partnership is coming in, you're planning how to exit on it. Yeah,
Gives you a bit of control.
it gives off a bit of comfort.
It's not
Yeah.
control.
I wouldn't say control, I would say comfort, because now you're comfortable knowing that, okay, this is how I plan to go out of this, than having my mind wondering, what if this doesn't, what do I do? Put it in the contract, exit. Yeah, that's how it's going. Yeah.
Gives you like a plan. But you've not still answered my question, because I need you to do this, because it's something you've had to do before. You've had to exit instead of pivot. So when do you think? How do you
Pivot.
think? Yeah.
Okay, so we've spoken about exits,
Yeah.
right? For pivots, it's simple. What you're doing, is it working? Right? Is it working? Are you making, so the core of every business is sales, revenue, right?
Maximize profit.
Maximize, yeah. Your business has to make money for a start first. Let it even make money.
Sales is
Then it's when money now starts coming in, you cannot talk about profits.
Yeah.
You're not making any money then, because bro, there are a lot of businesses that are not making money, but let's leave that one aside. Yeah, there are a lot of them. So pivoting is when you've seen that you've tried and your model seems not to be working. You seem not to be making as much money as you plan to be, as much as your forecast claims to have. Yeah, this is business, it's reality. It happens. You then have to start planning to pivot. You can also, there's so many instances of pivoting. So you can also pivot when you've built a business line within your business that runs very comfortably. You want to expand, right? You can pivot another line into doing something else, right? I was just watching a video just before now on Coca-Cola, how they started. They have so many business lines, you'll be surprised. So aside from the fact that they produce the drink itself, the soda, the fizzy drink, they're into the business of, bottling as well. And that bottling is another business line on its own. They're into the business of refrigeration. Yeah. I just watched the video and I talked about how there was a deal between Coca-Cola and the first people that invented refrigerators, and I'm like, wow. So that is also an aspect of pivoting, right? So it's like this one is solid, this business line, this fizzy drink, solid. Oh yeah, how do we make more? Let's pivot into this. Close to this. So it's usually integration, vertical integration or horizontal integration, forward, backward, and know how to go about it. So pivoting comes as a result of seeing that something is not working or you want to do more. You want to do more.
How do you critically evaluate all these investment and business ideas? Because you're just talking about pivoting, like Coca-Cola had to. It was just natural for them to know that okay, this thing is best served chilled. So they were in the forefront to pivot with refrigerator company. But how do you know these ideas in this economy?
Strategically,
How do you strategically find all these ideas that okay, if I want to pivot, this is where I pivot to, this is what I do. How do we find all these ideas?
as a business person, you keep your eyes open. Personally, I'm a faith-based entrepreneur, so I believe in God, and I believe so much in the leading of the Holy Spirit. Right, so that comes in as well in terms of where to even look. The Holy Spirit can direct you on where to even look. So as an entrepreneur, keeping your eyes open, being sharp, being observant of the times and the trends, you would notice a lot of ideas coming up, and then when ideas come, right, you have to test them, right? You have to do surveys, ask people questions, right? Do feasibility study. That's the term I was looking for. So feasibility study ideally is the mechanism to check ideas. Yeah, it's called the feasibility study. So if an idea comes, have you done your feasibility study? Feasibility study entails checking source of raw materials, checking customer base, checking target audience, checking demand, checking supply. In a document, you just do everything and then you have your feasibility study. If it turns out good, yeah. And just by way of plugging myself in, please, if anybody wants to do a feasibility study, come to me. I would help you do that. A very thorough one. Have a team that's, advisors that help you, check ideas.
Yeah, we're going to tag the name of your company on this video and how to get to you guys. So you do visibility study for every sector in the country.
So if you can't do a business in every, are you Dangote? Even Dangote is not in every sector in the country.
So
Wisdom would tell you not to play too wild.
Wow,
Right? Take it one at a time, right? And also that's also good. You mentioned that because you also need to know what battles not to fight. Every battle is not yours to fight.
Because there are some people, I used to say it, when you compete with the big dogs, you don't have the money they have, you don't have the budget they have, you don't have the connection they have. They are just going to think you are not doing anything. It's not that you are not doing anything. They are doing a lot more than you. They are doing 10x of what you are doing. So you only get the 1x result. Why they get the 10x result?
That's so true. At the same time, you also need to bear in mind that you have to fight for your space. Nobody is giving space unless you're playing a blue ocean strategy. Blue ocean strategy is doing something that is new and innovative that no one has really ever done. Something disruptive. Netflix came with streaming when everybody was still buying CDs. That was blue ocean, right? So unless you're doing blue ocean, you have to fight for your space. So everybody started as an underdog, and you have to grow, be innovative, be sharp, and win your space. So yeah, there's that as well. You also know, like you already started talking about it. Not every battle you're not gonna fight Dangote, for reasons best known to all of us. For reasons best known to all of us.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I like the way you put that.
yeah.
For reasons best known to all of us. When mentoring entrepreneurships, what stories and lessons do they tell you, and how do you motivate them to keep going? This is very important.
Can you take that again?
Like when you mentor entrepreneurs in this country, what stories do they tell you, and what lessons do they tell you that this is the things I'm going through, or this is the lesson I learned from making this mistake, and how do you motivate them after you listen to these lessons and stories?
So I love this question so much because it's very passionate, and one of the things I'll say is to every entrepreneur out there, the fact that you have it in mind to solve a problem is so noteworthy and so commendable. Because what is a business? A business means you've seen a gap and you want to fill that gap. You've seen a need, you want to fill it. If there was nobody selling hair, how will people buy hair? If there was nobody cooking food, how will people buy cooked food? If there was nobody that made AI, how will you get AI? You only have it because somebody made it. You have this device now because someone made it. I'm wearing this shirt now because someone saw it fit to make it. So for everybody out there who has seen a genuine need and they're actually actively trying to solve it, I commend you. So that's where it starts first, right? That's one of the first things I started to say. Good that you've identified this, you're trying to solve this. Good. Now, what are the peculiarities of your situation and how can you go about it? Is it a funding problem? Is it a growth problem? Is it a hiring problem? There are a ton of different, you know, problems. But also knowing not to quit, right? Also knowing not to quit, also knowing to keep going, also knowing to persist. There are times when, yeah, it may be right to quit, but are you quitting to do something else, or are you quitting out of fear, or are you quitting out of, So answering these questions, helping them navigate these things is some of the advice we give.
I like the way you said that. And I like when you said you're a faith-based entrepreneur, because I mean that's what I identify to as. And I like to ask people this question in particular when it comes to entrepreneurship. What does passion as an entrepreneur means to you?
Passion, passion, passion. Um, so we spoke a bit about every entrepreneur being a storyteller, and investors are listening to your story. Yes, you will give them your numbers and your metrics, but I'm telling you, if they don't see that passion, it's come on now. You're not passionate about what you do, and you want me to give you all this money so that you can run away with it. Yes, you showed me what works, but bro, I need to see you feel that fire in you for this your business. That's where passion comes in. Bro, you can't sell a product you're not passionate about. Imagine you selling a restaurant to me and you're like, the food is okay, Sha. Yeah, it's okay. You can try. It's all right. Would you buy? I would definitely not buy. Or yeah, here's our app. The app they try, Sha. Sometimes you go,
Sometimes you go hang.
you go hang. You understand? So passion it tells a story. It adds seasoning. Let me add it like that. It's like salt and pepper to your story.
Your ability to suffer and make others believe that it's worth suffering for.
Oh
That's
yeah,
called
you have
passion.
to show
You have
people.
to show people that this thing is worth it.
Sometimes we even tell investors that even if you don't give me the money, we are still going to the way that okay,
You'll find a way.
okay, okay.
Well, I mean, thank you for doing this. I think
Yeah.
anybody that comes across this that wants to become an entrepreneur, you've really, you're passionate about what you do. It has shown in the way you speak. And I pray God brings you 10x of everything you wish for.
Amen. Thank you.
Looking ahead, what trends and sectors should African business focus on over the next 5 to 10 years
You already
to
know.
remain relevant?
You already know the answer to that, right? Yeah.
We know what is coming. But I feel like Africa is different from
Yeah.
most markets. And I'm saying that not from a place of I'm coming from a place of knowledge now because I've listened to a lot of people speak. I've been opportunity to talk to a lot of entrepreneurs myself. But I like to hear people's opinion because it's kind of adds to my own information. It informs me better. In your own opinion, what are the sectors you think is going to work in the next 5 to 10 years?
So, for the purpose of this question, most of Africa is third world. Now, I haven't really done an intricate study into the definition and the regions that are fall into the third world. Third world being the babies of development, right?
Developing. Let's use developing. To make it
the babies of developing, like I said. And in third world countries, guess what? They have more opportunities than anywhere else. A good business person is able to see opportunity in almost any situation. How much more in a developing economy, right? So aside the artificial intelligence that everybody's making noise about, right? Look at the critical problems, right? Look at the critical opportunities. Problems are opportunities, and solutions give you money. I think I should probably incorporate that as my quotes.
yes, solution gives you money. Yeah. Funny thing, I just said this while I was driving yesterday. I was like, you say we are so jaga jaga in this country. The people that are able to provide order in this country in any sector, they have made a lot of money.
Bro, you can make money from providing order. There are people who run security outfits. Like you could make money from anything. There are boundless opportunities, right? So that's one thing entrepreneurs should keep their eye out for.
I think we've really digged into this conversation, and I think like you've done a good work. So me and my team, before we most of our guests come here, we used to do a small challenge for all of our guests based on their area of expertise. So I think we like to end it on reading your own challenge to you, and we would like you to take the challenge and break it down.
Share the challenge, do not fall my hand.
No. It's a challenge of what you do on a day-to-day basis. But we like to take you a bit outside your comfort zone.
That's all right.
So the challenge here is think about a startup or small business in Africa that struggle to scale due to limited funding, infrastructure, or market access. Share a real example, like what went wrong, how you guide them, and the key lessons our audience of African entrepreneurs can take away to avoid same mistakes. Break it down so they can apply it to their own business ventures today.
Okay, so for a business that I have personally coached, okay. Do I need to call the name of the business?
No. Just give us
because of publicity.
just give us
Okay.
Just give us like the real scenarios, like things we can take away.
Okay, so we started an agriculture processing company in 2023. As I speak to you right now, we've raised over 10 billion naira in funding.
Wow.
Those listening to this that know me know the company I'm talking about. Right. We've raised over 10 billion in funding across different instruments, CPs and all of that, right? And we did this by proper structure, good corporate governance, all those things we spoke about earlier in this conversation, and just a good go-to-market strategy. Because the crux of business is that you are selling products and money is coming in, right? So that business embodies everything we've discussed. The idea came, did a feasibility study, we executed, we started making sales, we structured ourselves, we recorded our traction, we showed investors our traction, investors were impressed and they gave us money. We put the money back into the business, we made more money, went back to the investors saw the increased traction, investors gave us increased money, and so on and so forth.
You know why smart when you say it. The way you say it, somebody's going to be out there. So the fire is going to be in them like it's doable.
But we dirty our hand. You go you will pick hole.
That's the part I want to touch on. Because this thing you said, agricultural processing. And I used to say like agricultural investments are one of the highest failures of investments in Africa. Why do you think is that? Because you've done one that is successful. And that's just where my question is at.
Bro, it's really all planning. It's all planning and aside planning is correct, going into a business with correct information. Somebody has told you that, rice it's very viable, it's easy to plant. Now you can go and plan with that information and have a very good plan. But if that information is wrong, ultimately your plan goes to waste. So two things, a good plan, but before a good plan, correct information, validated information. And sometimes, guess what? To get this information, you have to go get it yourself. You have to go get the data yourself. So I will take this as a segue to talk about like data is very important, right? Data and data analysis is very important. It helps you in decision making.
So the best way to gather data when you have all these business is to do proper feasibility study. That's what I'm saying.
Feasibility study, which then goes deeper into things like surveys, which then goes deeper into things like ground research, buying data from reliable data houses, the Statistars and all of that, and there's really a lot of ways to gather data.
I mean, this is very interesting that you touched on it. People that don't know blindly say there's no data in Nigeria. Have you heard people say that?
There is data, but we are not a big data bank.
But you need to vet it.
Yeah, we're not a big data bank. A lot of the data that you will need to make very, 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 very solid decisions, you have to go get them yourself. Yeah. You can get how many cars climb Third Mainland Bridge every day. I'm sure you get that somewhere on Google. How many minutes of hold up is there? So there's data, right? But there's a lot of data, like they now ask you things like how much fuel is consumed per minute by the cars on Third Mainland Bridge. Now, do you see that those are two different things? So one is how many cars readily available. Another one is like how many times do cars break down on Third Mainland, or how many times do you know, getting more
deeper.
intricate. I feel like probably because we're third world, I don't know. Or maybe somebody needs to put an idea into solving that problem. Probably someone already is and I'm not aware. But we are
I
not
think
very
it's one
big on
thing.
it.
I think it's one thing that you mentioned because I deal with a lot of people that are trying to scale their small business. Even me, I'm trying to scale my business. I think it's that thing that I said that we use head information to think, oh, I can wing it. You want to wing everything.
You will get your
Waste your money. All right, thank you so much for doing this with me. I've learned a whole lot sitting with you here. And would you like to end the conversation by reading the question the last guest left for the next guest? So we need to get our book, and you need to read us. We
prepare a question for the next guest.
prepare a question for the next guest, and we have a handwritten note for you that you
Wow.
need to read to us. Too. Thank you for doing this once again.
That's pleasure.
Yeah,
I appreciate
thank
it,
you.
man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.